when it comes to ranking on the internet, you're trying to obviously get people to click on your website, right? And there's a difference between the paid ads that are on front and then the organic results that are down below. And when you look at that, there's something called the SERP, S-E-R-P, which stands for the Search Engine Result Page. And there are a lot of different places on the search engine results page that your website can show up on. And it's really based on what the person is looking for at any given time. So, like Lewis said, it's understanding the relationship between keywords that people are looking for in that moment and whether or not they're going to find you. Now, obviously, ads are a way to put yourself on top, but people have really gotten savvy to ads over the years, and they tend to skip over them anymore and go down to the first, second, and third organic results. And organic results is what search engine optimization is really about, is understanding that the search engines have determined that for a given search query, your website or whoever's in number one provides the best answer for that particular human at that particular time to the question they just asked of Google. So search engine optimization is the entire process, all of the content, all of the technical nerdistry behind it that gets the search engines to understand how to know that your website contains the best answer for that particular question at any given time.
So, from a consumer perspective, if I'm searching for a hot tub and I want to look somewhere near me, I'm potentially going to type hot tubs near me into
Hmm.
the search engine. And if your website as a dealer is trying to rank for those terms and that's scattered throughout the content on your site enough times, you're going to be in the top 10 results on that first page. Is that what I'm hearing?
Pretty much. And so let's peel back a one small layer here, okay? Because a long, long time ago, in the year of 2001, for those of you who were around back then, I
In the
had my
year
very first
2000.
request from a client. I had my very first request from a client to figure out how to rank better, and it was a very niche industry. And what I discovered in 2001, which is 24 years ago at the time of making this video, was that content mattered. How much content was on your website and how much relevant content was on your website is what really drove your search results. And today, 24 years later, that still applies. And let me peel back a layer and talk about why that is. So Google knows everything. They know where you are. They know what you are searching for. They know what you have searched for, and they probably know what you're going to search for in the future, but they haven't really let us on to that part of it yet, right? But they also know how much time you or anybody who asked the same question previously spend on the resulting website. So they know that you clicked the link and spent a minute on the website that you clicked on. They also know how far down you scrolled, which is called scroll depth. So whether or not you just looked at the page and went, and then you backed out, or you went to the page and you started scrolling down and reading more. They also know if you click onto other pages on the same website, right? So they know all these things. And they use all of these individual data points as a proxy for basically a human brain to determine whether or not the resulting page answered the question that the person was looking for. So the secondary piece of this first layer is something called backlinks. And a long time ago, again, 24 plus years ago, backlinks were significantly more important than they are today. And a backlink means that another website is linking to yours, answering the same question. So somebody else's website might say where to buy a hot tub in Oshkosh. But that text is linked to your website, which is a hot tub store in Oshkosh, right? That was a big deal because presumably those links were created by a human, and that human had taken the time to go through the internet and find the best answer or the answer they thought was best, and they linked to it. That was a big deal. It's still a deal, but not as big as it used to be because they have other ways to measure user behavior now. And I promise I'm going to wrap this up. So the last piece of this puzzle is when you're dealing with this, but when you have a retail store and you're dealing with a store that has, let's say you have 5 different manufacturers represented on your floor. One of the challenges you have in the hot tub, pool, sauna, and this even extends to HVAC, windows, roofs, doors, solar, right? They all have manufacturers associated with them, is that every dealer website links back to the manufacturer website. So when Google and the search engines are trying to determine, I want the best jacuzzi hot tub in Oshkosh, more likely than not, jacuzzi.com is going to show up first because there's hundreds of websites around the country linking back to them talking specifically about jacuzzi. So you have to temper your expectations that you may not be able to beat the manufacturer, but you should be able to beat your local competition every single time through using the methods that we're going to talk about through the rest of this conversation. But I just wanted to point out, like, there's an unfair advantage that manufacturer websites have in the backlink space, specifically as it applies to this industry. And you really aren't going to be able to overcome that just because of the nature of the beast. And we can talk more about that later. But I just wanted to kind of explain that content, backlink, and then the fact that Google uses all this other stuff to determine whether or not the resulting click was actually answering the user's question, which then, of course, turns into how do you get them to spend longer on your website? Video. How do you get them to click on to more pages? Clickbait. There's a lot of strategies to make those things work in your favor.